Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And of course, we're going to talk a little Hall of Fame. And I mean, it wouldn't be right if I didn't, bring someone in that actually has a great view of the Hall of Fame right there in his basically in your vision. Uh, Want to bring on from the Canton repository?
Yes, the repository.
Okay. Canton Repository. We've got Peter Holland Jr. What's going on, man?
What's going on, Mike? Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Hey, I just want to, for those that are not familiar, can you kind of run down the credentials and everything so that way they're aware of who you are?
Um, a little bit of a backstory. I'm from South Florida, born and raised. That's where I am. Even from Ohio, I still rep the 954 all the way to the 305. Um, I graduated Florida National University, been a sports writer for the last 7 years, I believe now. 7 years. Just work my way up in the ladder as a journalist. You know how it is. I just been on the grind. Started as a student writer, did a few internships. After I graduated, I moved to 3 different states in the last 4 years. From Salt Lake City, Utah, I work for a Mormon-based paper called the Desert News. And then after that was over, I went the small town route. I was living in McPherson, Kansas for about a couple of years, and I was a sports editor there. Covered the local high school over there. And then COVID hit, and then things went a little bit sideways for a bit until jobs started to open up again. And then I took a job at Kearney, Nebraska paper called it the Kearney Hub, where I covered the local high school there too. And I also will cover a few colleges like the Nebraska Cornhuskers as well. Then that was before I took this job at the Canton Repository. So, and I just been here. I just started working here like a few weeks ago. It was like about a month ago. I was in Nebraska. Now I'm here, get myself acquainted, get myself situated. I'm just glad to be where I'm at right now.
Well, man, it's quite a journey. Definitely. I mean, Salt Lake, Utah, man, how was that?
It's not that bad. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't too bad. It was I live downtown, and mountain weather is not as bad than compared to Midwest weather, you can say. When it snows, it's not too bad because you're living in the mountains. It'll be like 50 degrees and there'll be flurries will come out of nowhere. That's how crazy it is. But no, it was all right. I did like Utah, and it really see a different look of other places other than the environment I'm used to being.
Got you. Interesting, man. Interesting. So, before we get into the Hall of Fame talk, of course, we just had a Super Bowl where the Rams won 23-20 in their home stadium. Matthew Stafford wins the Super Bowl, and everybody's saying he was the missing piece, and they weren't sure if he was or wasn't as the season went on. He proved he was a part of the puzzle, but not the biggest piece of the puzzle. Of course, that was Cooper Kupp, who won the MVP and had an amazing season, leading the wide receivers in receptions, yards, and touchdowns, which is, of course, the triple crown of receiving. So, what did you think about the Super Bowl?
All around, it was a pretty good game. I wouldn't expect anything less than the way it ended. Uh, it was definitely it was an interesting ball game. Both teams played well, and I think what really kind of stood out to me, looking back at it now, was the officiating was a little bit inconsistent, I guess you can say. From the I still can't get over the Jamar Chase face masking Jalen Ramsey.
That was T. Higgins.
Oh, T. Higgins. Yeah, I'm sorry, T. Higgins. Yeah, T. Higgins face mask him and toss him in the ground, and the penalty was not called. And then right toward the end of the game, Logan Wilson, the linebacker, was called for pass interference when it was not, or holding for that matter. So there was a lot of, I wouldn't say that played a role of why the Bengals lost, but those were the little things that really just crossed my mind a little bit of the officiating a bit. But other than that, it was a pretty solid game, and I'm glad it really ended for the Rams. They looked like they were a more complete team. Matthew Stafford, I'm definitely happy for him, but just can't get over all the years of him being in Detroit to be where he's at now. And then obviously Aaron Donald, man, you can pretty much solidify him as the greatest defensive player of all time. I mean, what has he had not done at this point? He can just go out, he can just retire in his 30, like he like reportedly that he's thinking about it. But at 30 years old, 8-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All Pro, and now he finally gets the ring that he rightfully deserves. I mean, that's the icing on the cake. Who don't want to end on top than what Aaron Donald has done? So I will definitely understand, but he clearly has like 5 more years in him, but I can understand why he wants to leave on top. Who doesn't want to leave on top with a Super Bowl ring, of course?
Right. Also 3-time Defensive Player of the Year to add to his resume.
Right,
But also, of course, we want to talk about the game. Let's talk about the halftime show. I know everybody wants to hear about the reactions to the halftime show. You got Dr. Dre, you got Snoop, you got Mary J. Blige, you got Kendrick Lamar, you got Eminem, and then a surprise of 50 hanging upside down to definitely join the fun. I mean, I know me. I was jumping and dancing and doing whatever while I was watching that performance, and probably the most excited I've been for a performance at halftime in a minute. I mean, what did you think about it, man?
It was definitely one of the best halftime performances I've seen, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a hip hop head myself, man. This is practically my childhood on live stage right now. I really enjoyed Dr. Dre. I'm a huge Eminem fan as well. 50 Cent. I mean, I don't know why people are just keep on saying that 50 Cent was a little bit on the heavy side, but I think he's probably in a better shape than 90% of America here. So I'm not going to give him crap for that. Mary J. Blige, she's the queen. She still looks amazing even at her age. And Kendrick Lamar, I think he was probably the best performance out of all of them. The way he just came back, and I'm just hoping, like, man, K-Dot, when we're gonna have an album? That's something that just came on my mind. But having all of them together and orchestrated by Dr. Dre, it just brought back all the memories and all the good times of music, and I really enjoyed it. Just personally, I think it was the best.
Well, I will say this: I can't say it's necessarily the best because we're still talking about Prince and Beyonce out there too. But definitely was up there as one of the best performances at Super Bowl halftime. And of course, I can't forget Michael Jackson. Come on now, the man turned sideways, and the whole crowd screamed for like 2 minutes. So
that's true. That's true. But still, man, I'm young. Man. I'm 29 years old, and I don't even remember any of this. I can remember this. So I just can say, just from my eyes, this was the best I've seen.
Got you. Understood. And now I wonder how they're gonna top it in Arizona. I know I'm a shout out to my boy Damian Adams. I was listening to his podcast, which is The Real Deal with Damian Adams. You can find it on all listening platforms. But he was talking about potentially having he just threw a name out there and said Drake for next year's. I was like, he might be on to something. Drake, because really Arizona, do they really have anybody that's you can say, hey, hip hop? They started hip hop in Arizona? No. So why not bring somebody universally known that's everybody's gonna love pretty much? People can say they don't like him and say he does emotional rap and all that type of stuff, whatever, but they know they're listening to everything he's putting out. But that would be a good idea. What do you think?
Yeah, it does. Trying to think about it, I don't see why at this point Drake is in the top of his game. He's been selling multi-million dollars record sales, and yeah, I don't see why. I mean, it's definitely a name they want to toss in the hat. But let me see. If Drake will go. I'm just thinking of who would be with Drake is probably would be a good question.
I got 2 names.
Oh, you already got 2 names?
Yeah.
It would just make you just think of what will be his guests, what will be in his playlist. Is only 15 million is like what a 15-minute act. You got to think of a few songs that people are just going to lose their minds to, and then switch things up a little bit. And Drake is capable of doing that. And there got to be some surprises to go along with it. So Drake is a really good performer. So I think that's a good name to be tossed out there.
You hear that? I know Damien's probably listening. You hear that, Damien? Yes, you have two people in agreement that Drake should be the performer. Now, I did have the other two people with him. I would say Lil Wayne is definitely one of them. Got to have Lil Wayne. And let's see, who else? Who else can I say? I would say you could do Nicki. And also, he's gonna bring Future. That's just gonna happen. Love him or hate him, he's gonna bring Future.
Let's just hope that they don't count him with Russell Wilson, Sierra. Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Right. Well, that's enough. I guess Super Bowl talk, and of course, again, congratulations to the Los Angeles Rams for winning the Super Bowl, second team in a row to do it in their home stadium. Of course, Arizona is on the clock now. They're hosting the Super Bowl next year. Could they make it 3 years in a row? We don't know. Whole off season to go through, and of course, we know the rumblings that Kyler Murray is not happy there. But I digress. All right. As far as the Hall of Fame, I got to get into it. You've got Tony Baselli. You've got Leroy Butler. Well, I'm gonna call him Leroy because he kind of changed his name to Leroy once he got money. So I'm gonna call him Leroy. You got Sam Mills, linebacker for the Panthers and the Saints. You got Richard Seymour, of course, Patriots and the Raiders. Brian Young, 49ers. Cliff Branch, the Raiders. Art McNally, who some say is the father of modern officiating. And you've got Dick Vermeil, one of 7 coaches to lead 2 teams to the Super Bowl. That would be the Eagles and the Rams, which he won the Super Bowl with. Okay. I see all those names. What did you think when you saw all of those names listed as Hall of Famers?
When I saw those names, the first thing that's come to mind is, okay, I'm not the type of person who will just overreact, but that's also the thing about it with the Hall of Fame. Now that I'm learning more about it, after I saw it, I just know it right from the jump that, okay, there's a common theme here. There's something about each of these players that probably the voters or the committee were just thinking, you know what? You can just tell that we're not just going to look at just pure statistics. We're not going to just go just purely productivity. There's a story of each of these guys. You can just see it from each of the candidates. And I'm just talking about from the modern era, because guys like Dick Morrill and Art McNally and Cliff Branch, they're in a different ballot. But from the modern era guys, we're talking about guys like Tony Baselli. He's the first Jacksonville Jaguar player to get inducted. You talk about Leroy Butler, Leroy Butler, if you want to call it whatever. He's Mr. Lambeau Leap himself. So you gotta get him somehow. Brian Young, aren't you a Niners fan? Yeah. I don't know if you just recall of how he was that Super Bowl hero as a defensive player. Each player has a story, and they're also to take into account is that those guys also had years of eligibility, like up to not up to 10 to 15 years, even 20. I think it took 20 years for Sam Mills, God rest his soul, just to finally get inducted. So each of these guys been waited long enough because they know that more nominees are coming in, and they're coming in hot. They're hot names. I mean, we're talking about Andre Johnson, Patrick Willis, and all became finalists in their first ballot. Devin Hester as well, we might consider the greatest return man in NFL history. They're coming in, and then I just think that I guess it just makes sense to get those guys who waited long enough out of the way, because they know that more of the guys who probably might have first ballot, second year ballot, they're coming in real fast, and even more that is going to have names going to be tossed around now for years to come. So I guess in a way, that's probably the direction that the committee was doing.
Gotcha. Of course, I do have to say this is touring the AFC South. So, of course, congrats to Tony Baselli for being the first Jacksonville Jaguar to be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, but I will say there were 3 wide receivers that didn't get selected. That would be Andre Johnson, Torrey Holt, and Reggie Wayne. Of course, 2 of those guys from the AFC South, which Andre Johnson, which is mostly the Texans. A lot of people don't remember him with the Colts or with the Titans. Yes, he actually wore a Titans jersey. And Reggie Wayne with the Indianapolis Colts. You would think at least one of them would get in, but none of them got in. So what can you say, or do you feel was the reason why none of them got in?
I guess they probably think it's a bit too soon just to get them as finalists. And probably going back to what I said earlier is that there is a little bit of a common theme here with this year's finalists, and seeing that it was predominantly defense. So I think that was probably kind of the route they went, because you see that we had 4 wide receivers that were finalists, but we also had 4 linebackers that were finalists as well. And you just pick your poison. And I guess that's kind of a way that they just say, you know what, let's go with a defense. Let's go defensive heavily. Those guys waited long enough, and let's see, and let's take it from there. And usually, I just thought that would be more balance it out. I thought it would probably be like maybe 2 wide receivers get in, 2 linebackers get in, and a couple linemen. I thought it would be like that. But yeah, so I guess they just said. I just think that it was simply just a common theme, and they were just going for the guys who just waited their turn long enough to get those guys in, because they know that Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, they can wait. They can wait. No ballot, they're going to get in eventually. The fact that they made it this far as finalists, there's no question they said they will get in next year or a couple years from now. So they're not going to get too worked up about that. So I think that's kind of my takeaway of that.
Got you. Now, of course, I just wanted to, get an explanation, or somebody that's actually closer to the ballots and to the Hall of Fame than I am. Try to get a little bit more view there. That's giving us quality explanation as to why they're not in there. But I feel they should have been. But hey, that's just here nor there. That's just my thoughts. But of course, I'm going to give you 4 names. They're all AFC South guys. And I'm going to play a little game. You're going to give me a yes or no whether these guys are going to get in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, you can put me on the spot here. Okay.
Yes, sir. I've got 4 guys from the AFC South. All right, we're going to go Fred Taylor. I'm going to give you his numbers. 11,695 yards rushing, 66 rushing TDs, which 74 total TDs, and 4.6 yards per carry in his career. Does he make the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go a little further. I'm gonna stick with Jacksonville theme here. We're gonna go wide receiver Jimmy Smith, 12,287 yards receiving, 67 touchdowns for his career, 67 receiving touchdowns for his career, and he had to be one of the most electrifying receivers of his time. And let me throw in. I'm sorry. Let me throw in. He's the best receiver that Jacksonville has ever had. There we go. Let me throw that in.
That's facts. Does he get in? Yes, I think he should get in. My question is it going to be as in the modern era, or he's going to go as a senior? Because that's probably going to be the question that's going to be heavily debated with Jimmy Smith and his situations. I personally, to me, I didn't really know much about Jimmy Smith like that because I didn't really follow the Jaguars like that. When the first thing that come to mind with the Jacksonville Jaguar was Fred Taylor. I'm a big fan of him, and I guess that's why I thought that he will be a Hall of Fame for sure. With Jimmy Smith, I was just looking at his backstory, and it's really inspiring just to say he's an HBCU product coming from Jackson State, and it took him a couple. He originally got drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and he was a member of those two Super Bowl Dallas Cowboys team, but he didn't start. He didn't start. He didn't really make an impact like that. And then it was his second year when he had the epidectomy injury that had him silent for about a year. It didn't take him till he was signed to the Jacksonville Jaguars in his second year with the Jaguars till he finally broke out. So I'm not going to say that kind of plays a role because at the end of the day, like you said, he was the best Jacksonville Jaguar wide receiver. What, 9 of the last 10 seasons with the Jags, he went over 1,000 yards, shattered all the record books, and Jacksonville is pretty young too, man. I think we also got to take that into account. Jacksonville is incredibly young. The fact that we had Tony Baselli inducted in the Hall of Fame is remarkable, and I think it's going to open doors for more Jacksonville Jaguar greats like a Jimmy Smith, like a Fred Taylor, maybe later on Mark Brunell, and just more. They're gonna come. I just don't know particularly when. But it's just for Jimmy Smith case, his story of what he had to overcome with his health. I know he dealt with some legal troubles after the season, and he was struggling with addiction. But I think that will also make the story even better for him if he does get inducted, that he overcome all those challenges throughout his career. So, yeah, I think Jimmy Smith will definitely be a Hall of Famer for sure. I just don't know when in particular.
Gotcha. That'll be something to watch for sure. All right, I'm going to end it with a couple Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
First, I've got Eddie George, 10,441 yards, 600 rushing TDs, 78 total, and 3.6 yards per carry. Does Eddie George make the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I gotta get Eddie George in there, man. Eddie George is big time. Definitely one of the best running backs Titans has had. Made him an impact. I just remember Eddie George just a guy just couldn't be stopped. I mean, we think of what Derrick Henry and how much we can't stop Derrick Henry because of his size. Eddie George was definitely the kind of guy who was pretty much, I want to say he was Derrick Henry, but he was definitely athletically gifted. And the numbers shows him himself. I could definitely see him as a Hall of Famer as well.
Now, I'll say this. He only did play 9 years. So for those that are looking at his numbers and squinting your eyes like, are you serious? He only played 9 years, had 10,441 yards. So keep that in account as well.
But hey, Tony Baselli lasted what, 7, 8 years before injuries ended his career. So it's not about the years. At the end of the day, the production will come. That's when the production will come, and you can just think of, hey, how many years of he could have had if he played more and he was healthy. So
right. And last but certainly not least, we have Steve Air McNair. 31,304 yards, 174 TDs. He did have 119 interceptions, and he also was a co-MVP one year with Peyton Manning. So is he in or is he out?
Man, that's a tough one.
I knew it would be.
I think also we'll take into account that Steve McNair is in the Black College Hall of Fame as well, which I also covered too. So Steve McNair, definitely the guy who he's the reason why he's another guy that comes from that HBCU school who really made an immediate impact. And a guy who definitely deserves his flowers in a way. Is he a Hall of Famer? I think he I think he might have a shot, but chances are it might be he might be a senior, maybe as a senior player. Because
Gotcha.
I just think that over years has gone by because more players are coming in that modern era, it's going to be tougher for guys like Steve McNair to get in. I mean, think about when Tom Brady in 2027 or 5 years from now, and other like what quarterbacks will be retiring in years to come. So it's going to be a lot tougher, and it'll just be a matter of 20 years from now, 25 years from now, we're going to think back, man, Steve McNair was really that dude. I think he definitely should get in the Hall of Fame as well. I just think it might be in the senior.
Gotcha. Okay. Now we did have one question in the touring the AFC South inbox from Michael Jones. Who Mike Jones? Who Mike Jones? I had to do it one time. But let's see. Can McNair get in before McNabb? Nice question.
Ooh, that is a good question. I think McNabb gets in before Steve McNair. I think.
Ooh.
I think McNabb. Yeah, I think McNabb. Man, I'm just thinking about that. Yeah, I really gotta look back, but I think McNabb he was definitely that dude too. He played in the Super Bowl as well. He had Terrell Owens with him too. Yeah, McNabb in his prime, that guy was the best quarterback out there. And I think if we're going, I don't know, I don't have the numbers on me to compare, but I think McNabb, I could definitely see McNabb getting in before Steve McNair.
Yeah, if I had them, I'd look them up, but unfortunately, I do not have them in front of me, nor will I be becoming a human computer. But definitely was good talking to you today, man. And if you can, let everyone know where they can reach out to you and what all you have going on.
Yes, I'm on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at the Pisto at _DA_PISTOL, or just simply just type my name, Peter Holland Jr. It'll pop up. I got a couple stories that I'm working on at the moment. I'm actually just finishing up this one. The Legacy Bowl is coming up this weekend, where all HBCU players get to showcase the NFL scouts. That's coming up, and I had the pleasure to speaking with James Shaq Harris. Everybody knows about Shaq Harris of how much he opened the doors for HBCU players. So I got a chance to spoke to him. What is his thoughts on the Legacy Bowl, the Black College Hall of Fame game next season? Central State and Winston-Salem State will be playing this coming season. Have his thoughts on the direction of HBCU players getting more recognition. He was one of the guys who was really upset that no HBCU players were drafted last year. So they try to change that. So I got a chance to speak to him about it, and it'll be coming up sometime this week.
Got you. Can you say that name one more time for those that aren't aware?
James Shaq Harris.
Look him up. Do the research. Don't depend on us to tell you who he is. I need you to dig into it, because when you dig into it and look for it, and when you read it and you understand it, then you get who he was and his value and his greatness and what he did. Just gonna leave it at that. And thank you again for coming on again. Again, the Canton Repositories. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep wanting to say registry. The Canton Repositories, Peter Holland Jr. You've been listening to Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.